Hello, welcome to another live. If you're new here, my name is Laken and I go live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern to chat all about goals and life and planning and all the things. It is empty in here today. If you are brand new here, hi, I'm so excited that you're here. And if you are not, but you haven't been following along, we're actually moving tomorrow. So basically everything in our apartment is all packed up. There's obviously a handful of last minute things that we have got to finish up tonight. But for the most part, everything is packed and we're ready to go for when the movers arrive at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I cannot believe we are here. But let's kick it off with our wins. As always, we want to celebrate our wins. In fact, I gave a whole spiel yesterday on the community coaching call about celebrating wins. I did like a whole sports analogy, and it was fun. But the reminder is that all of our wins are worth celebrating, especially the small ones. So I want you to share at least one small win that you have from the last week. Share in the chat if you're here live. Hello, say hi. If you are part of the replay fam, please say hello down in the comments and let us know what your win is. I know, empty shelves, so close to the new place. I know. I honestly have no idea what next week's background is going to look like because I am not going to have my desk yet. If you've also been following along, I don't have an office in our new house. I am going to set up a desk in our bedroom, but I am not buying that desk until our furniture gets in there and I can like really measure and feel out what size I feel comfortable buying. And then I also don't know what the setup is going to look like, what the backgrounds be. I have no idea. So yeah, I've got to figure out what all that looks like, but so excited. Yeah, I know it looks so empty. Got your budget set with your husband, small win. You're here live and you're brought your goal planner to the office. You can work on February goals. I love that. 10 pages away from your 8th book read. It's amazing. And your morning routine. Look at you. My win is that you get back to work on Monday and able to do some things around the house. I'm so glad that you're healing well, Krista. Open an online savings account separate from your bank and setting up an automatic payroll deduction. That is amazing. That's amazing. Almost finished moving into your new apartment, Kerr, and I completely understand what that's like. You have got this. You got it. I guess I didn't pop up mine. My advice is that I took my own advice. And the theme of this live could not have come at a more, I don't like to use the word perfect, but it is just so appropriate for the topic that we're talking about. And everything I'm saying in this live is I have had to take that advice. And it is I'm going to talk about it more later, but that's definitely my win for the week. Okay, let's check in with my goals for the month. So here is my goal tracker sheet. Now, I have already filmed my goal video. That will be up next week, so you can hear all of my deep divey thoughts on all of these steps. You can see the progress that I've made over the last week. You know, some things I've hit, some things I haven't hit. I am carrying January through Sunday. I know I talk about this every single month, it feels like, but these weird in-between weeks, you get to decide. You get to decide if this week is all January and you're not starting February till Monday. That's me. I'm that team. You can decide that you are going to start February. There were some members of our community who told me they were starting February this Monday. I love it. And in fact, you'll notice in the Goals with Laken Planner, this in-between week is always included in both months because I want you to be able to make that decision. I'm not making that decision for you. You have to figure out what works best for your goals and your life. So some people went ahead and started February and that last weekly section didn't get touched in January. Some of you are like, I like the first of the month, regardless of what day of the week it is. So I'm starting February on Saturday because that's when February actually starts. And there is no right answer. It's what makes the most sense for you and your goals. I am carrying January through to Sunday. So in my February tracker sheet, I will just cross off that first week, right? Because I will have the January 27th week is in the February page, and I will just cross that off because I'm not worrying about it. So some of these one-time steps, obviously finished packing has to happen. Like that one will get checked off. I'm assuming I'm going to start unpacking this weekend. That one will get checked off. Whether I order my desk by Sunday, TBD. When I set my goals, we were moving a week ago, and I definitely thought I would get my desk ordered. I don't know. I may get it ordered by Sunday. I may not. And then we'll see how the rest of these kind of pan out. My workout, I've already kind of changed, which I will talk about later as an example. And then the daily stuff has been, some of them I hit, some of them I don't. It's not perfect. I'm normally a start on the first of the month person, but this month I decided to start this week. I love that you said this, Krista, because the other thing to remember, you don't have to do the same thing every month. You don't have to decide every single, like you are the first of the month, or you are the last Monday of the month, or the first Monday of the next month. Like you get to change your mind every single month with what makes the most sense for you and your goals. I tend to lean towards the first Monday of the following month. Like whatever, that's when the month starts for me. But that's not always the case. If the first, like if the month starts on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, I'm going to start that week. Like it's not, I'm not consistent, and you don't have to be either. You get to change your mind, whatever makes the most sense for you. Okay, let me take this down and share this. So here is the February calendar. I don't know why I have a pop-up for that. Like you can obviously see it's the February calendar. I'm sharing this because it's the last live before February, and I would be sharing this anyway. But I also want to point out two things. If you are a member of the community and you didn't see my message from earlier this morning, I would be surprised if you're seeing this and not that. But regardless, another reminder for you that the coffee chat time has changed. So when I originally shared the calendar, it was going to be next weekend. In the theme of life throwing a curveball, we actually are going to be out of town next weekend now, last minute. And so the coffee chat has been changed to Sunday, the 23rd, which goes well with the question that I got last month when I shared the January calendar. I got this question privately. And someone asked, are they always going to be on Saturdays, or will they sometimes be on Sundays? They'll sometimes be on Sundays. Clearly, it just really depends on the month and what works out best for our schedule for the month. So that is the community coffee chat for February. The other thing to point out, especially if you are here, whether you're here live or you're catching the replay, the last week of February, I have something going on the 26th. So the live is actually going to be on Tuesday, and it is going to be a little bit later because the community call is at the live time. They're both at 1 p.m. Eastern. So I'm going to give myself an hour gap in the middle to regroup and refresh. And then the live will be at 3 p.m. Eastern on that Tuesday, the 25th. So just a FYI, so you know what is going on with all of the things in February. Any questions, anything on this topic before we move on? I also am going to quickly open up my brain, like realized something when I was saying words. I'm like, I need to look at something. Okay. No. All right. We're all good. Okay. I wanted to check something for my editor. Oh my gosh, Brittany, no small win for me this week. Still pregnant. Oh my gosh. Sending you all the good vibes. That last bit is tough. But I also can't really comment on it because Lila was born at 37 weeks. So I never really experienced those last couple of weeks, but the couple of weeks before she came were still not great. I was uncomfortable. I couldn't sleep. The heartburn was bad. Like it was just bad all around. I can't even imagine if I actually took it further. I've seen a lot I've seen this post around Instagram that's asking a mom if you could sacrifice one, would it be the first trimester, the third trimester, or the fourth, the newborn period? I feel like there was one more, but I don't remember what it was. But yeah, so hoping to go in on my own before Monday, or I'll have to get induced next week. I never really went into this, and I'm not going to go into super detail, but I will be the one person that says I was induced and it was a lovely experience. So team, it can still be positive. All right, let's talk with this. Let's talk, y'all. So like I already mentioned, this topic could not have fallen at a better time. And I picked this topic really thinking more about moving and that curveball. Now, I am thankful that our moving timeline was kind of set and picked before I really set annual goals. So I got to set my goals with the knowledge of moving. But what I wanted to talk about in this video is what to do when something changes in your life and you've already set goals, what to do about it. Now, it's almost as if the universe was like, oh, well, you picked this topic, and I think you need to experience something to be able to speak to it more. So like I mentioned in the calendar section, we are taking an impromptu trip next weekend. There's something going on in our family, and so we are going to be out of town, and Sam is also going to be out of town a little bit more around that as well. And it's not my story, my situation to share. I'm just sharing how it impacts our family, and this is how it impacts us. So Sam will be gone this weekend. Like, we're moving, and then Sam's leaving, and then we will all be gone next weekend, and then Sam is staying even longer. And so that is a huge pivot. Like, that is not how I anticipated February looking. And it is just the time, the reminder, and this is from a Greek philosopher, that the only constant is change. Change is always happening. Literally, things are always changing. And I feel like I say this a lot when it comes to, like, your routines will change and your goals will change. And so we accommodate for some of that with our regular goal refreshes, right? There's a reason we check in with our goals regularly. We check in with them weekly for some planners. Personally, I don't change my goals on a weekly basis. I do obviously check in with them, and we do that in the coaching call. But for some planners, you can change your goals on a weekly basis. But at a minimum, I encourage you to check in and refresh, if needed, monthly, quarterly, and annually, because life changes and it happens. But what about the changes that you weren't expecting? What about the changes that show up in the middle of the month? What about the changes that come after you've already planned everything? What about the changes that you don't want to have to deal with? What about the changes that are throwing a wrench in plans that you already made? Well, it happens, right? Like, that's a thing. It's going to happen. And whether it happens on a big, giant scale, whether it happens on a small scale, it doesn't matter. It's still going to impact your life and your goals. So instead of being shocked or scared or unsure, I mean, insert any word, however you feel. It could even be excited. It could be positive, right? Let's say you're in the middle of a month and you find out that you're pregnant, right? That could be a positive change, but it's still going to impact your goals. So instead of letting that change come and show up and just letting go of everything else, like saying, okay, well, you know what? These goals that I set and these action steps that I picked, they no longer work. So I'm just going to not do goals. Instead of letting that happen, let's have a plan. Let's have a system, something that we do when that change occurs. So in true PowerPoint girl fashion, okay, it's not really a extreme PowerPoint. It's a little slides. I created a flow chart. And so when something changes, and again, this isn't just big, giant changes. It could be as simple as like, this like one small thing. I don't have a good example off the top of my head. Any change can result in this flow chart. It's not super complicated, and it hopefully doesn't take you that long. In fact, I don't want it to take you that long because I don't want you to overthink it. Everything on this flow chart is yes or no. And I don't want you to sit there and make a pro con list. I'm talking to myself at this point too, right? I don't want you to overthink it and like pick apart every little thing. No, we don't have time for that, right? We've got to deal with the change. We've got to pivot, and we've got to jump right back in to whatever it is we're focusing on now. And so what I want you to do is, for each of your goals, you're going to go through this flowchart. And I picked this topic in December. I wrote the outline the first week of January. And here we are on January 29th, and I literally had to do this 2 days ago, like for my own goals. I had to go through each of my own goals and apply this. Now, I didn't include this. There's not like a pop-up, but I just want to say this really quick. Maybe I should like keep talking before I pop up the slides. Do this on whatever time frame makes sense for you and your life and your goals based on what you know about the change. So for going back to the pregnancy example, right? That's a long-term change, like forever, like the rest of your life long. If it is a pregnancy that you want. So I would do this process for your annual goals, right? Like the longest term that you have. If it is something that you know is going to impact you for a couple of months, or you think it could impact for a couple of months, do it at a quarterly level. And then if you think it is something that is temporary, that it's just going to be a temporary impact, or, and this is my situation, you don't know what the impact is going to look like in the next quarter, month, whatever, then just do it for the next month. And so that's what I did. I was like, this is something that definitely potentially could impact the rest of Q1 and the annual goals and beyond. But I don't know that for sure right now. I don't know. I don't have that information. All I know is how it's impacting my life and my family right now in the next couple of weeks, frankly. So I'm going to go through my February goals and I'm going to go through this little flow chart. So, okay, let's go back. Let's pop it back up. So question 1 is, does this change directly impact your goals? What I mean by directly impact, you have a goal to lose weight and you find out you're pregnant, right? That is a direct impact to your goals. You have a goal to declutter your current house and you find out that you're moving, right? That is a direct impact. So again, don't overthink it. This is gut feeling, yes or no. If the answer is yes, then you need to go through the goal defining process again, which is a video that I have done a number of times. I will leave a link down below, but I want you to go through that whole process again. And I feel like I'm saying this a lot. I don't want you to spend hours and hours on this. This isn't like this is something that you're going to like sit down and have to map out. This is going to be like a quick, you're making these decisions, you're answering questions, and you're getting through this as quickly as you possibly can in order to be able to keep moving forward. Because I don't want you to lose that goal momentum. And again, I'm talking to myself right now. So if the change directly impacts your goals, go through the process again of defining that goal. And then you're going to have to break it down again. Because once you've redefined it, you're going to have to break it down. Now, some of those action steps might still carry over, but some of them will not. Some of them you may just have to reprioritize. For example, right, my goal in February was to finish unpacking. Okay. With Sam being gone for pretty much the whole first half of the month, and Lila and I being gone for a chunk of that as well. Like we are not going to finish unpacking our house in February, and that's fine, right? So then for me, it wasn't necessarily redefining this goal, but this is a change that directly impacted our goals, right? Us being gone directly impacts the ability to unpack. So I just reprioritized. And I was like, okay, what's the most important things? What are the most important rooms that we get settled in? What are the most important steps to getting ourselves unpacked? And it wasn't really breaking it down again so much as just reprioritizing. But let's go back to that example of, let's say you had a goal to lose weight and then you got pregnant. That change directly impacts your goals. So going through the process of defining the goal again, well, what does that health and physical health goal look like now? Go through the process and then break it down. What are the steps? Some of the steps may stay similar, right? You may still be trying to prioritize steps. You may still be trying to prioritize water, but it's probably going to look a little bit different. Now, what if you're like, okay, but the change doesn't directly impact my goals, right? So us being out of town doesn't really, I'm not sure how I was going to do this video without such a great example. It's such a personal example, but let's say the answer is no, it doesn't directly impact your goals. So my health goal, like us being gone, doesn't directly impact my health goals. The question is then, does it impact the resources towards your goal? And if you've never heard me talk about goal resources, there are a number of different resources that impact your goals. Time is the biggest one that we talk about, and that one is obviously a huge factor. Energy is a really big one that I try to talk about more because I don't think, especially those of us who have hormonal shifts throughout the month, your energy levels drastically change. And so depending on what's going on, how is this going to impact the resources that you have towards that goal? Finances is another big resource. Help from others is another big resource, which is kind of unpacking falls into this as well, right? My being at home and my help from Sam is suddenly basically gone. So thinking about what are the resources that it impacts. And again, I've been giving the moving example, but I went through this for every goal. So let's talk about my physical health goal. So the next question is this goal something I still want to prioritize right now? Is this something that's still important to me? And I, this question in particular, I need you to be your your best friend. Don't be don't think about this as what I should be doing or what's the this is is it something really I shouldn't have even said want to prioritize, something you need to prioritize, because depending on what the change is, you're potentially going to have to let things go. So now if the answer is yes, because I did all the yeses at the top, this isn't maybe necessarily the order I would have gone in, but I wanted to make it easy with yeses on top. So then if it's something you still want to prioritize, what do you need to change? What do you need to adjust? What do you need to do? And so for me with working out, because we're going to be gone for part of it and because Sam's not going to be around, I need to lower that goal. I was doing this strength program on the Peloton that was 20 to 30 minute strengths 3 days a week, which doesn't sound like that much. And some of you probably work out way more than that and it works. And that's awesome. For me, that was already pushing myself and I needed to shrink it. I needed to make it smaller and I needed to make it more manageable. And I needed to make some of it able to do on the go. And so I immediately was like, I'm not worrying about that anymore. I'm going back to 10 minutes and I'm doing no equipment, right? 10 minutes, body strength, no, body weight only. And that's what I'm focusing on, right? So that was just adjustment. Now, the good news is all I wrote down on my February sheet was workout. So all I have to do is I don't need to change anything about that from what I've written down. But, and I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit on my February goals, I did have a one-time step of finishing that program. That's not going to happen. I'm just going to cross that off and I'm going to let it go. And this is where I tell you that it's okay to let things go, right? If it is, sorry, there's a piece of tape on my desk and it's driving me bonkers. If your resources are severely limited, there might be things that you have to let go of, right? There might be things that you need to just put on pause. And we talked a lot about pause last week, right? That was an option when life is chaotic, that putting our goals on pause is okay. It's not quitting. It's not letting go. It's not giving up. It's not failing. It's pause. And maybe your goals need to go on pause. And you just take that idea and you go put it somewhere else. And that's okay. There's a couple things on our list, on my list for February that I'm just going to cross off. And it's not a big deal. I'm just going to let it go. Again, some of them I kept and I made them smaller. Some of them, and I guess unpacking, I essentially made smaller. I went from finish unpacking to unpack a certain amount. In fact, maybe I could set a specific goal, right? By the end of tonight, I'm going to know exactly how many boxes we have. I think we're at 60 something right now. And I am going to, I could say maybe my goal for February is to get through 50% of the boxes or something along those lines. And that could be me making the goal smaller. And then there are some steps that I'm just going to cross right off. And I'm just going to say, one of them was doing a fire. I really wanted to light a fire in our new wood fireplace, but that is just not a priority, right? Getting firewood, figuring out how to work the thing, but it's just not, it's not a priority. So I'm not going to worry about it. And that's okay. I'm going to keep that on my idea list, although it's probably not going to actually end up coming until maybe November, whenever it gets cold. But it is okay to let go of goals. You know that. I tell you that all the time. Okay, so now what if you say that the change doesn't impact your goals and it doesn't impact your resources towards the goals? Well, then you can just leave it the same, right? We don't need to overthink things. Maybe something changed in your life, but that goal gets to stay exactly the same. So I kind of think about my creative goal like this. Now, yes, the resources are technically limited because I'm losing a little bit of time, but my creative goal, I can do anywhere. I literally packed up my coloring books and took them with me to the Bahamas. I can do that pretty much anywhere. And so I'm going to keep that goal the same. I'm not going to adjust it even. And I did increase it in February. I increased it to 45 minutes. And when I thought about it, that's 6.5 minutes a day ish. It's not perfect math, but you understand. Don't come at me. Don't come at my math degree anyway. So that is very reasonable, right? That is something I can still prioritize in February and it is something I still want to prioritize, but I'm not going to change anything about it because really the resources aren't impacted. So hopefully this little chart. You can go ahead and you can take your screenshot here and save this for you so that you have this when you have something that changes. And again, the change could be big, the change could be small, the change could come in the middle of the month, in the middle of the year. You could do this for whatever time frame makes sense for you. And truthfully, I'm probably going to have to, at the end of February, assess my quarterly goals at that point through this same lens, knowing what I know then, and then make a decision from there before I kind of set my March action steps. But for now, I'm just worrying about February, and I'm just adjusting what I need to in the month of February, and I'm going to go from there. So that is what I have planned. Any questions, comments on this? I know there was a couple more comments about babies. Oh, so baby. I'm so excited for you, Brittany. I can't wait to hear all about your little girl. Any questions, comments, thoughts on the topic before we move on to questions? Hopefully this was helpful. Again, really did not fathom when I wrote this and this outline in January that this was going to be something I needed severely this week. All right. The rest of the time is yours. Feel free to ask questions about anything. It does not have to be about this topic. It does not even have to be about goals. It could be literally anything you want to talk about. It can be about your individual life struggles, goals, a pep talk that you need. It can be about a topic you want to chat about. If you don't know how to phrase it to a question, you can just put topic, and whatever the topic is, it can be whatever is on your mind, anything that you want to chat about. And as always, if your handle here on YouTube is not your name that you prefer to go by, I would love for you to include your name in the comments so I can address you by your name. But whatever you want to chat about. Yes, this getting engaged, that's a very great example of a change. And that is one goal that is going to impact your resources, time, money, more time. Weddings are the best and also a lot. Stephanie, thank you for including your name. Tips for enjoying the moment season. Creating content seems like it's mentally pushing me 3 months ahead, and I have no idea how it's still January. So I totally understand where you're coming from. Most of my content is not super seasonal, so I don't completely relate. I'm always creating in advance, but it's not like, there are people right now. I was literally just watching an influencer that was talking about her Easter decor, and I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like Easter? And exactly, like she has to create that content for Easter now. Also, in general, January, I feel like for everybody just feels like forever and a day long. And normally I am right in that boat with y'all, but I have never been more thankful for the world's longest month because I am so thankful that it is not January yet. And I've had all the time that I've needed to do the things. That said, my biggest tip is going to be to make it specific to you. I know that's not necessarily what you want to hear. This is not so much a tip, so much as an exercise. I want you to start with, what does enjoying the moment or season look like for you, right? Is it making sure that you're still celebrating that holiday that you created content for 3 months ago? Is it making sure that you're still enjoying Christmas music, even though, again, you started doing Christmas stuff 3 months ago? That's just an example that popped into my head. But making sure that you know what's important to you about being in the moment, being in the season. And so I think we can get so caught up in what we should be doing, what we should be enjoying, what should look like. I friggin' hate the word should. It doesn't matter what somebody else says about the season, or really, I don't even what you're creating content for. It's what is important to you, and then making sure that you schedule time for that in that moment, right? In that season. And then when it comes to actually like enjoying the moment, create those moments that you're not creating content for. And this is something that I think having a baby has almost forced me to do a little bit more. And I talked about this in a vlog. I think it was during Vlogmas, but I try really hard to, when we're doing something as a family, I want to take like a photo and a video kind of at the beginning to document that this is what's happening in this day. And then I put my phone away and I'm not trying to document anymore. I'm not trying to capture anymore, unless like for whatever reason, like something, pops up and she starts doing something. And then I'm like, I need to capture that. But for the most part, I allow myself from just a straight capturing standpoint to do it at the beginning and then stop trying, stop worrying about capturing. Like, sure, may I miss a couple of moments that way? Totally. But there are other ways to capture it later that aren't focused on you doing it in the moment also. So maybe it's trying to figure that out a little bit. I think the January thing is just hard. It's just hard. January just feels forever long, always for all of us. And I think it's because we all acknowledge the first. It's like New Year's and we like acknowledge the first, and then it just feels like forever and it's cold and it's dark and all the things. So hopefully that's helpful a little bit. I think maybe also creating content that's a little bit like not seasonal so that you're not quite so focused on it. Sorry for the loud truck behind us. Just waiting to see if Stephanie had any other comments, questions before we moved on. This month is rough here in Chicago. Yeah, it is. It's been really cold. We've had lots of days where we like either you can't as an adult, you pretty much have been able to leave the house, but you've got to be really bundled up and like get to where you need to go pretty quickly. But like a 17-month-old is not leaving the house right now. No, today she is. They went, oh my gosh, daycare went to the zoo yesterday. It was so cute. And anyway, where is it going with this? It's just hard. It's just hard. Winter's tough, and do what makes you happy and know that it's temporary. Know that it's temporary. Okay, Morgan, thank you for including your name, puzzled girl. I'm just about finished with the book Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. I love the info in the book. I wish I could comment more on this topic, but I have not read that book yet. This is where my whole plan, like I plan out my book reading in the beginning of the year. And then when stuff like this pops up, I'm like, oh, I really do want to read that. But for now, I'm going to stick with the books that I have planned for the year. And if you still like hearing me talk about books, by the way, if you didn't hear me say this at the beginning of the year, I have moved book reviews to vlogs. So they will be in vlogs. In fact, the vlog coming in a couple weeks has like a bunch of book reviews. So just FYI, but I do have this book on my list. Now, a lot of people have said it's great. I love Mel Robbins and I love the idea of you gotta not care what people think. That's the concept, y'all. And if that is something you struggle with, here's a book about it. Not caring what people think. And truthfully, I'm not saying I probably won't get something out of the book because I am sure I will. But this is actually something I feel like I have been working on a lot over the last couple of years. I'm going to butcher it, but I saw somebody say a quote about like, it's like you've got to enjoy the life, living your life from the inside, not from the outside, or something like that. It doesn't matter what the outside world thinks about your life. And it's way more difficult. I don't know if she writes the book from the perspective of like a content creator or somebody who is sharing more about their life on the internet. But truthfully, even if you're just sharing with your friends and family, like you're still sharing your life on the internet. And it's how you feel about your life from the inside. Are you happy? Most of the time. Are you happy all the time? Have you watched Inside Out? Like joy is not always there. But a lot of the time, right? Or like, do you enjoy your life more often than not, right? And not what it looks like from the outside, not what the pictures show, not what social media shows, but your day-to-day life. And actually the other, speaking of day-to-day is, sorry, we're kind of going off topic at this point, but off of this topic at this point, is it is about the day-to-day, right? It's not always going to be the big moments. Like if you're like, well, I'm happy like when this big moment happens or when this big thing, and it's like, those things are great. And I want you to love those things. And I want those things to make you happy. But most days are just Wednesdays, which is so perfect that this live is on Wednesdays. And this quote, it's actually from Hoda from the Today Show, who both my parents are separately been divorced for, how old am I? 33 years. Are separately obsessed with the Today Show and Hoda, and very sad that she is retired. But she gave this spiel about how most days are just Wednesdays. Most days are just Wednesdays, and we have to build a life where we like enjoying the Wednesdays. And I think part of that is this concept right here, and that's not caring what other people think. Are you enjoying your Wednesdays? I get to spend my Wednesday with y'all, which I enjoy. Jen, thank you for including your name. I'm glad that this topic was helpful. My doctor's office has been told because of a recent merger, they have to change what they handle in their office. So I get to meet new providers for this area of my life. Oh, that is so tough. I like having new healthcare providers is never, like, in every area of life or every area of health is so tough. I think the best reminder is just that if you have a new provider that you don't like find a new one. Unless you live somewhere that is so remote and it's really tough. I guess I've always been very lucky to live in a large city with large hospital systems, like multiple hospital systems, that if I had a doctor I didn't like, I just moved. And frankly, I think I saw a new gynecologist every year in New York because I'd never found one that I clicked with. And you ready for the best part of it? I bounced around for 10 years. I didn't go to my last appointment because I had moved on to pregnancy at that point, but I bounced around for years. And then we moved back to Chicago and I went back to the same one that I saw in high school that both my mom and sister see. So sometimes you click and sometimes you don't. Thank you for this today. It's really helpful to think through the details of the changes. Thanks for randomly being on topic to internet strangers' lives. Of course, we are not strangers. We are friends. We are almost to February. Yes, Maggie, we are almost to February. Aside from moving and the event tickets going on sale, oh my gosh, I need to get those emails scheduled. Yes, the event tickets go on sale on Saturday for community members, Sunday for waitlist members. If you haven't joined the waitlist, no commitment whatsoever. Just you get the email on Sunday instead of Monday. On Monday, it's everybody, not just the waitlist. What am I most excited for in February? You know what? We are going to I think I talked about this couple at some point in a video or a vlog or at something. But we moved to Chicago. I was 13. We moved to the burbs. I was 13. Now that I live in Chicago, I'm like, we didn't move to Chicago. We moved to the suburbs. And I met a friend who lived down the street from me. And we rode the bus together, and we've been friends since we literally were talking about how this year our friendship was going to be old enough to drink, which is so funny. And, we've stayed close all these years. We used to study and together and all kinds of stuff growing up. Anyway, him and his wife's also from Chicago. And they lived here, and then they moved back to DC when we moved here. And I was so frustrated and mad. They recently moved back to Chicago, and they are expecting, and we have their baby shower this month. And I'm sure I went to baby showers of like my mom and stepmom growing up. I don't really remember them at all. Do I not even remember my twins? I don't know. Anyway, besides my own, I've only been to one other baby shower, and it was for my best friend. I was pregnant. She's the one whose son is a month older than Lila. And, but this one is like, Sam's also going, it's co-ed. And I'm just like, I'm really excited. I'm excited to see his parents. I'm excited to like celebrate them. And just like, I don't know. I don't know why that this one feels like it has, that's hard to say because I love my best friend's son. He is the sweetest and cutest thing. But we don't live in the same place. And so it's really tough. And so this baby is going to live very close to me. And I'm so excited to like watch this little human grow up and to celebrate this little human in February and his parents. And then, I'm just so excited. Oh, this is tough. Any tips on how to look for new healthcare providers other than recommendations from people you know? I'm definitely opening this one up to the crowd. If anybody else has any suggestions, if you're here live and you have suggestions, please put them in the chat and I'll pop them up. If you're watching the replay and you have suggestions, please leave them in the comments, and then you can always come back and look at your at the comments later. I think for me, it's a couple things. One, like I said before, being open to, like, I think some providers, you just can't know until you're there in person, right? You can read all the reviews, you can all the things, but until you are there in person, it's really hard to know if it's the right fit. And so knowing that it's okay to change, right? Like if you get there and it's not the right fit, you go through without appointment and then you change the next time, and it sucks and it's not fun, but it's like that is more important than continuing to go to a provider that you don't like. That's my opinion. Knowing what's a priority for you, right? Is it the location? Is it the credentials? Is it like knowing what's a priority for you, and then narrowing in from there, and then like reading the reviews that you can find online. We have had to find all new providers, and some of them we've done with recommendations, and some of them we have done based on location. We don't have a car, and so being able to walk. Another option on the priority list is ability to get in, right? So for example, we prioritize, there's like we have the Northwestern hospital system in Chicago, which is arguably the best. Don't come at me. I'm sure that there are lots of fantastic medical providers at the other hospitals here. I am comfortable with Northwestern, and they have a satellite location that is within walking distance of our house, of our current apartment and our new house. And so Sam and I started seeing the same, what the heck is it called? Like a generic doctor, PCP there, who turns out, like, we just found her based on the location, and she went to UT, which is so awesome. This is so cool. And we both really liked her. And then she referred us to the dermatologist in the practice, but the availability was like a year away. Now, if that is a priority, like, then, I could have easily pivoted and gone somewhere else. Now, the irony is I made the appointment for almost a year out, and it was when we were in the Bahamas. And then I called to make another appointment, and the next availability was January of 2026. I was like, okay, I think I'm going to go to the other location, because at this point I don't want to wait, right? And for me, it wasn't about that doctor. It was about the time and the location. So here's a couple other comments. I searched them on Google and see what the reviews say. For example, I like a provider who will explain things at my level. So I avoid providers who have a review that says rush and technical. Love that. You can often go to your insurance company and search for providers they work with. ZocDoc also has reviews. Yeah. And don't forget to check with your insurance always, which is unfortunate. It's unfortunate when you like find someone and then they like don't take your insurance. You're like, well, that's really unfortunate. Read reviews, schedule an appointment, and ask questions when you're there. Think of it like an interview. I like that mentality. And then if it's not a good fit, you try someone else. Yeah, Jen, I saw you said you're not in New York City, Chicago, but you have a lot of options. And that is a pro of living in a big city, right? That you can have options. And I know that some of you probably don't have that benefit. And then, yeah, trying to choose from those in your provider's network. And the other thing I will tell you, and I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of insurance, but if you don't be afraid to ask what the out-of-pocket cost is. Because they're like, if there is somebody that you like, or the location is good or whatever, like there might be scenarios that it is worth it to keep things vague. Sorry. It's so tough though. It's tough. It is also another a priority if you want it. And I was just talking about this the other day with another family member, is staying within the same system. Again, in Chicago, it's the Northwestern system. And so I only have one login and I can see all of my providers within the Northwestern system, right? I can see my OB, I can see my PCP, I can see my allergist, like I can see all of that. And so even though I could go out of the system and still find things in my insurance. It's hard. I like being able to that ease of it is worth that. Is it the one provider in the specialty in the area that you live? Ask providers if they have a referral. Yes, that's another great suggestion, which is how we ended up with, like, how my allergist was just a referral from like, God, I feel like they're all referrals. Well, so like our pediatrician was a referral from my OB, like literally who my OB took her kids to. And then Lila has a specialty doctor for something, and they were a referral from the pediatrician. And so far it's all worked out. It hasn't been anybody that it's like, this isn't a good fit. Everybody has been absolutely fantastic. But I feel you, Maggie, about like having them explain it to you in like layman's terms. I hate when I'm trying to like understand what they're saying. Like, what are you? I was just going to say that my doctors have often been able to make great suggestions, and it was a great match. Yeah. If it's a doctor you like, typically their referrals are probably going to fit well. I like asking questions like, if you were the patient, would you have any questions for yourself about this that I've yet to ask? That's a great question. Wow. I'm going to take that also for kids, for Lila. Like, if this was your kid, what would you ask? That's a great question. That's a great question. Oh my goodness. I like this topic. It's a very practical topic, but I think part of our community is like, we're just a bunch of real regular people, y'all. A bunch of regular people with regular goals and regular life things. And finding doctors is one of those things that's like, can be hard to talk about with other people. And I get that. Or you also just have different preferences. I know, another big aspect of medicine right now is kind of that balance between, I don't want to use the phrase holistic, but like more like other options first versus jumping straight into some sort of medication. And that balance, finding that right balance for you as a person, and then finding a provider that matches that balance for you as well. Because it's tough. So I think knowing yourself, knowing what's important to you and all those things. A professional patient here. A functional doctor. Yes. Is that the word that I'm looking for? That's more of like don't get me wrong. I love me some modern medicine. But I also know that 9 times out of 10 when I have a headache, I don't just need Advil. I probably need water or food or a nap or an allergy spray. But see, that's medicine too. But like if my headache is being caused by allergies, like there's nothing I can do besides like not go outside or allergy spray. I'm hoping that our new house with its freshly cleaned ducts and whatnot, my allergies are going to be better. My dust allergy is going to be not living in this freaking old building. That was a good topic. Thank you for asking. Integrative medicine. Yes. Integrative. I like that. Yes. What else is on your mind? Any other goals you're feeling stuck on? Anything else that you want to ask the community of amazing other humans that are working on their lives and their goals? Want to ask their thoughts on? I have a question for you. Oh my gosh, that reminds me. Oh, guys, I totally forgot about this. Hold on, I'm making a pop-up. Okay. In February, during the lives, the topic that we're going to be discussing are action step ideas. If you've been around, I have done 2 different series on action steps. And I think they have been so incredibly helpful for so many people. And I reference people to them all the time. The first one was not quite as helpful. I think there's still some really good nuggets of information in those videos, but they were maybe a little bit more all over the place. The second batch was so helpful. And that one is because it had actual specific action step ideas. Now, by the way, if you're here live, I literally just made this pop up. So the survey is not there yet because I forgot about it till right now. I will add it as soon as the live is over. But we are doing the same thing, but I'm flipping it on its head a little bit. Instead of grouping things by type of goal, I'm grouping them by type of step, right? So we're going to do a whole session on one-time steps, a whole session on weekly steps, and then a whole session on daily steps. I'm so excited. I need your help though. I need you to answer the survey. It's totally anonymous, no names, no emails, no nothing. It is totally anonymous, and you don't even have to share all of them. You can choose which action steps of your goals that you want to share, but I would love, love, love for you to share your action step ideas with me in the survey so that I can share ideas with all of you, right? So we're going to compile all of our ideas together, and I'm so excited about it. And the way that I'm grouping it this time, I think it's going to be so helpful. My sock is stuck to another piece of tape because there's tape all over my apartment. But anyway, I need you to fill out the survey. Okay, that's it. I meant to put this at the beginning. So if you're still here at 52 minutes and you're hearing this, either if you're watching the replay, it's down there. Oh, I can't believe I forgot. I don't know what made me think of that, but I'm glad that I remembered. Yay. Thank you. And there was another question I was then going to ask for your help, which is what triggered my brain. As I was like, I'm going to ask for your help. And now I don't remember what the other thing was. I don't know. I'm sure it will come to me. Good thing we'll talk again next week with an I don't know what kind of background. I may be like, you know what? Do you remember the very first live in the new New York apartment? I was on my dresser. That's potentially what we're going to be doing. I could do it at the kitchen table and just tell Sam that he can't come in there. Oh, well, he might not be there. Never mind. Maybe we'll just do it at the kitchen table. It still won't probably have a cute background, but it will be, the lighting will be better. These shelves are going in the basement and turning mostly into toy shelves. I will still have my books on them on the top parts of it, but then the bottom shelves are going to be for toys. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Anything else on your mind? Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Going once? Going twice? All right, then I'm going to ask you my last question. What is the one thing you're going to do this week to make progress on your goals? What is the one small step you're going to take to make progress? You know, small progress is still progress. What is the one small step you're going to take on your goals? Well, that's a good tip. And I have heard that before as well. A friend told me to have one space that had no boxes so that you could relax, because if you see a box, you'll likely feel the need to unpack it. So we had our living room boxless. I love that. That might be easier said than done with stairs, but we'll see. I'll do my best. It might just be like our bedroom, truthfully. Have this baby. Sending you all the good, healthy baby vibes, Brittany. Buying one thing is obvious. It's moving. We're moving, y'all. Surprise. Prioritize setting up your February goals tonight when the kids are at their dad's. Finish packing one of the rooms in your apartment. You've got this. Look at your planner and regroup. You've got this. I know we were texting about it earlier. We can keep chatting about it. Begin researching doctors. Hopefully this was helpful for you. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for hanging out. If you made it all the way to the end, where does that pop up? Comment with a ball emoji, any of them. I'm talking about curveballs. So any kind of ball, basketball, softball, soccer ball, whatever your favorite, if you like sports, or just a ball emoji. All right. Thank you all so much for hanging out today. If you wouldn't mind giving this video a thumbs up before you head out, I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every week and go live every Wednesday. And in February, we're talking all about action steps. All right. I'll see y'all soon in a new house. Bye.